So this video is about how I've mixed my tracks. Um, as you can see here, I've grouped all my drums. Um, I've put the kick on a separate track to the rest of the drums, so I've got a bit more control over the dynamics of it and how it's affecting the rest of the song. Basically, the way that, that's the sidechain channel. I doubled the kick channel so that the sidechain was like a straight 4/4 beat, whereas in the actual track the drum beat is slightly different for the kick drum. I have got the bass sidechained to this kick and not to the sidechain channel. It's obviously just because the bass and the kick drum occupy the same frequency space, so just to make room when we're both playing. But yeah, I go on each channel. The way I've mixed things is pretty simple. I only really used EQs, not much compression or anything like that. Like you can see here, I've used the EQs to take a little bit out around the 200-300 hertz. There's a bit boomy around that area, just clashing with the bass. And also I've rolled all the frequencies off at 50 hertz, as most devices don't play lower than 50 hertz anyway, so there's no point in really having that information there. All the drums, like this drum beat's quite simple. The other tracks are a bit more complicated. I've made use of panning and reverb effects, but in this one, I like the way that the samples just sounded, so I've kept them quite dry and just used EQ to really like shape the area of the frequency spectrum that each individual sample occupies, so it just makes room for everything when they all play together. So some of the sounds sound a bit strange by themselves, but when you hear them in the whole mix, it makes them fit better. Like that snare there, it's really filtered on the high end, but when it's playing in the whole mix, having the top end filtered away makes it sound like it's further away, because obviously when higher frequencies die over a shorter period of time when we're travelling, so filtering the sound essentially is pushing it back in the mix if you're filtering away the high end. So that's what I've done with that there. And then this snare is pretty full, like in front of your face, so I wanted something like that still pokes out. And we've got a couple of drum loops that once again I've just used EQ to shape the space and filters here and there for when the effects are built up and I needed to reduce the noise. Same again with this loop, just use the EQ to shape its frequency spectrum position. You see, even though that's quite high pitched frequency, I filtered it quite a bit to push it back further in the mix. So we'll hear the drums and we'll have a listen to how that sounds. So if I turn this EQ off, you'll see what I mean. Although it sounds good because it's loud, and loud always sounds better, it doesn't sound natural. So by adding the EQ, it makes it sound more natural. So I'll do an A/B comparison. So that's without, and this is with. You can hear it kind of pushes it back in the mix. I've also thought I should really panic a little bit. That sounds much better. Yeah, onto the bass. Same again with the bass. I use the EQ to cut out where I wanted the bass to be heard. So this bass is extremely silvery. I'll turn the EQ off. But all that low end frequency is just really clashing with the bass, and I mean with the kick drum, you don't really need it there. So I would say I've rolled it up to 111. So in some of the tracks I've gone even further, depending on how subby the kick drum is. Obviously doing this as well, just although sometimes it can sound a bit strange by itself, it does make everything fit in the mix better, and obviously stops flipping happening and extra summon that you don't want in the track. What I've also done with the bass is used the sidechain compression, like I explained before. This is actually it's not. I did have it sidechained to the kick thing. I don't know why it's not anymore. Yeah, and as you say, like, it's just once again to duck the bass a little bit and kick drum hits, make a bit of room for it. I used overdrive. I used overdrive on this bass to bring the notes out a bit more. I chose to use overdrive because it adds a few harmonics. Because the bass line is quite subby and it was hard to hear when the bottom end gets filtered out. And obviously I want the bass line to be heard on all playable systems, so using the overdrive, like I say, just adds that little bit extra harmonics to the top end. Then we've got the effects. Yeah, this effects chain, side chain to the bass, to the side chain channel again, just keep it kind of pumping with the song, and use EQ again just to shape the space that sound is occupying. Nothing too technical. I've added some reverb and some delay to add some stereo width to the instrument as well. One other thing as well, I also used the stereo spread to kind of get it to push the instrument to the sides of the mix, get out the way for the drum hits, because they tend to be quite centered. Vocals. When I've created the track, I've mixed it creatively and obviously with the intention of having a good rounded mix that can be played on all different media such as laptops, mobile phones, CD players, etc. So in order to get the vocals to fit and also not sound boring, I've used auto pan effects, EQ'd to shape where the vocal is occupying, auto filter once again to change the sound, feather EQ to take away frequencies that were clashing throughout the mix. We've got quite a lot of the frequencies around the 500, 400 Hz were clashing with the drums, so I took a little chunk out there. And same again, did side chain just to keep the whole track pumping. And last but not least, on the vocals I used utility to reduce the stereo width, because the auto pan and the auto filter mixed with the delay effects and the reverb effects were causing the sounds to jump out to the sides of it too much. So using that utility to reduce the stereo width, it tightened the mix up a little bit. And then this last channel is just the effects. Same again, nice and simple, EQ and the sidechain compression. Nothing special. Bit reverb and delay to add some more stereo space. And the, I've added my own effects in here. A special send channel. It goes to the bass. This is only for the bass. Get it clear. So you can hear it's just like adding a bit wah effect to the bass line, keep it a bit interesting. So this is with Alv, and this is with. It also kind of adds to the song. Parts of the noise you don't really realise that coming from the bass line, they do actually sound like extra effects. Yeah. And a simple delay there. That's it. That's how I've approached mixing my tracks. Nice and simple. Just give everything room. Another thing that I did take into consideration was when I've been mixing, I've made sure that the mix doesn't peak past -6 dB. Or at some points it goes up to -6 dB, or maybe it's a tiny little bit over, but I made sure that the average highest peak is at -6 dB, so that when I go to export the whole track into a pre-master stem, then I'll have good volume ratios for the mastering process. I'm exporting at 48 and bit depth of 24, no dither or anything, and that's it. That's how I've mixed my tracks. Thanks.